Happy New Year, everybody. This is Sky with Smart Poker Study. We're about to cover my top 10 hands from last year. You're going to see my best hands, my worst hands, and some lessons learned from each of them. We're starting the countdown with number 10, and it happens to be pocket tens. This is my best blocker charging hand of the year. And the lesson that you're going to take away from this one is that when you suspect weakness, don't let them set their own cheap price to see the next street. Folds, I opened a 2 on the button. Small blind, fishy player, 46/8 decides to call, and then we get a fold over here. Flop comes 9-6-8. I have the overpair plus a gut shot, definitely a value betting opportunity. He checks, I bet 3 into 5, and he calls. Awesome. 11 big blind pot, deuce of clubs on the turn. Now, he comes out firing with a donk bet for only 3 big blinds. This smells of weakness. Tiny donk bets like this are often designed to set his own price to see the next street. I bet 60% a pot on the flop. If he checks, I might do that again. I might bet 6.6 big blinds right now, right? He wants to avoid that. So he's trying to get me to just call so we can see the next street. Maybe he has a straight draw. Maybe he has just a one pair hand. Maybe he has a flush draw, whatever it is. But I say no, I do not let players set their own price to see the next street when I have a value hand. So I raise it to 15. He ends up calling. Turn comes at 10, giving me trips, but there is 4 to the straight to the board. He checks. Now, he is a fishy player. Players like this, let's imagine that 10, he had some kind of a draw. Maybe he had ace 7, 6-7 for a pair plus an open ender right there. He called 2 streets and this big bet because he wants to hit his straight. If he had completed his straight right here, I guarantee he would have fired. He does not want to check, and then I just check behind when he has a winning straight. There's no way. So he checks. I sense weakness. I think my top trips are the best. So I fire 16, and then he min raises me right here. Once again, I'm not putting him on a straight, but just in case he does have one, I elect to just call because he committed a pretty decent amount of chips or a decent proportion of his remaining stack size on that river. So I called him right here, and then he shows the ace queen. So you can see absolutely when he made that 3 big blind bet on the turn, it was just to try to hit a cheap ace or a cheap queen on that final river. Hand number 9 is my best river fold. Here's the lesson you can take away. Is he betting or raising with worse hands? That's a great question to ask, especially when you're facing a bet or raise on the river. If he is not betting worse, then go ahead and fold your hand, no matter how strong it is. And it's always a good idea. We'll get to this lesson also in future hands. Keep that hand off the mouse as that pot is growing and your decisions become potentially more dangerous. So we get a fold. I open raise to 3 with pocket 7s, and we get a call over here. 25-19 player, looking semi-loose aggressive right now. It's only 16 hands. Flop the set, check. We bet half pot, and he raises up right here. Okay, once again, we got to get value while the getting's good, kind of like we did on that last hand. It's not that I suspect weakness right here, but he could be raising with ace-queen, ace-7, couple of clubs, king-jack of clubs with a gut shot plus a flush draw. So much, and I'm not just going to just call and let him see the next street. Once again, at his own price. No. I've got to pop it up right here, trying to get maximum value. He ends up just calling. Okay, now the third club comes in. You could see most players, you and I both, love to stick around with flush draws, right? So the flush completed. I decided to check behind because I think a flush draw is a very good part of his range. The river comes to 10, and now he shoves 63 into the 60, almost shoves, slightly less than full pot right here. And now I have to ask myself the question, is he betting? Is he shoving, basically shoving right here, putting me all in with anything worse than a set? Well, the straight just got there, 3 to the flush. He could have had a weird pocket aces or pocket queens, pocket 10s that he played this whole way, didn't want to fold prior in the hand, just now caught and beat me. And for that, I reasoned truly that I did not think he was bluffing, kind of a busted flush draw right here. I just elected to fold. Now, the great thing about Ignition Poker is where this hand took place. 24 hours later, you can download the hands and see all the hole cards of all the opponents. And so he ended up having Jack 10 of clubs. Made perfect sense for calling when I raised him right there, right? He had a gut shot plus the flush draw. He hit it, he checked, hoping to check raise, and he wanted to get max value on that river. Let me show you something else really interesting right here. At the beginning of the hand, all these players folded, but like I said, Ignition Poker, all whole cards are revealed 24 hours later. Boom, I got to see what everybody held. Hand number 8, my best trickery of the year. Playing made hands in a common bluffy way can extract maximum value. So we've got the Jack 10 suited, open raise, folds. Now you can see there's no HUD on the table. That's because I'm starting with a 100 big blind stack. This was my very first hand on this table. Jack 10, I call him right here, worth defending from out of position. Flop in the flush, I check. He bets exactly pot. I think he likes his hand. There's a good chance he has an overpair, maybe even just the ace of diamonds, kind of bet big on the come with the nut flush draw. So I decide to pop him up. Now, as you know, check raises are often made with bluffs or as a bluff. Maybe I just have the king of diamonds or the queen of diamonds right now, that kind of thing. I'm trying to bluff him off of his hand. And I made it a min raise specifically to look bluffy right here. And he ends up calling. Okay. Turn comes a queen. Now, I decided to bet bigger than pot on the turn. You guys have heard from a lot of different coaches out there, huge turn bets really put the pressure on your opponents. And so I purposefully sized it big to make him think, potentially, I don't know anything about him, but I just know that large turn bets are a common strategy right now to bluff and win pots. So I used that strategy against him, trying to at least, and he ended up calling. Awesome. That pot is 104 big blinds. I only have 48 behind. I don't think there's anything that can get me from not shoving that river. The 3 of clubs comes, I shove, and he calls, and he ends up showing the pocket queens. Now, he had such a strong hand, pre-flop and all through the streets. This was probably going to happen no matter what, even if I had bet smaller on the turn, or check raised even larger on the flop. But I still think my plays are valid right here. He probably did not see a flush coming at any time in this hand. Hand number 7, my biggest mistake of the year. This wasn't the hand where I lost the most, but I made just a boneheaded play. You're about to see what it is. Here's the lesson. Avoid finger tilt on your mouse, right? Take your hand off your mouse for big hands and growing pots, because the bigger that pot is, the more costly your mistakes are. Couple of folds, limp, and I just check with queen 5 suit. I see no reason to raise and try to get him off his hand. I get to see a free flop right here. Flop in the top pair, weak kicker, okay. I bet for value, he just calls. The deuce comes, not scary at all. I bet for value again, a little bit bigger this time, just because I sense that he's possibly a fish because of his starting stack right here, and his pre-flop limp as well. And he calls me. And now the 5 hits. I have 2 pair, but look at that. The straight completed with the deuce 4, 5, and the flush completed as well. Once again, I'm first to act. I wanted a bit smaller because I wanted to get just a single jack, maybe an ace high, maybe a pocket pair of 8s to call once again, because the deuce and the 5 isn't going to scare him. I was going for some thin value right now. And then he raised me. Look at that, 67 big blinds. He raised all in. Once again, that prior question, is he betting or raising anything that I beat? If I suspect that he's the fish that he is, no, there's no way he's doing this without a flush or without just top trips or something really strong, right? But here's my mistake. As soon as he shoved, I didn't even think. I auto-clicked call. And I knew as soon as I clicked call, that was a terrible play. I finger tilted right there like Tommy Angelo talks about. I should have had my hand off the mouse for this one. I was going for thin value, hoping he can call with worse. If he has just a jack or just a 4 or an ace high of diamonds, he's not going to shove like this. No way. Players don't. If he's a fish, players usually don't make those kinds of plays. This is an easy fold, but I elected to call, like I said, finger tilt, and then boom, he had the jack 8, flopped top pair, or second pair, rivered that flush on me. Terrible mistake I made. Don't repeat my mistake. Hand off mouse, please. Now, I absolutely love hands like this. Number 6, this is the best bluffy feel of the year. Now, the lesson to learn: when your opponent seems committed or strong, when you shove, it can sometimes feel bluffy. So do it with your strongest hands. We get an open and a fold. And then this player, 41/30, 3 betting at 18%. It's 3 out of 17. Very aggressive player, right? He makes it 11. Now, when I look at that size, 11 big blinds, that's not your standard bluffy size of like 7 or 8 big blinds. And it's not even just your standard 3x size to 9 big blinds. He's making it 11. I feel like he really wants to isolate this player or get value. I've got the pocket kings, and I contemplated for a second, what's the best way to get value out of this player? And I decided to just shove, try to look as bluffy as I can. He has probably made plays like this. He's seen other players make plays like this with ace king, ace 5 suited, pocket 4s, pocket 7s, things like that. So I wanted to send that bluffy message. Fold and a fold and a call. As soon as he turned over ace queen of diamonds, absolutely loved it right there. 5, 8, 9, the 5 of diamonds, and the deuce hits right there. He didn't catch me with an ace, nor a flush, nor a straight. Loving this hand, and I think it really paid off having that bluffy feel. It's possible. If I would have 4-bet smaller on that 5, 8, 9, if I had c-bet after he called pre-flop, he could have easily found a fold with no flush draw and just 2 overcards. Another fun hand, number 5, best bluff turned value. Here's the lesson. Semi-bluffs, which are bluffs with some kind of a drawing equity, flush draw, straight draw, 2 overcards, that kind of thing, they can turn into winners. So bluff raise with draws plus backdoor draws plus fold equity. That's a key thing. You have to envision that your opponent can fold when you're raising. If he doesn't fold, having that draw gives you a little bit of a backup way to win the hand. But he has to be able to fold. That's why that fold equity is underlined. So, couple of folds, raise. I elect to call with a suited connector, and we get a third caller over here, so I'm out of position versus 2. Flop comes giving me the flush draw, backdoor straight draw, and I check, and I purposefully thought about it, and I checked with the intent of check raising, because he doesn't have to have an ace for opening on the button, even though he hasn't opened yet in 12 hands. He could have pocket pair of 7s. He could have king, queen. He could have things that is not going to like seeing that ace. And this big blind defender, he doesn't have to have an ace either. I was trying to use my flush draw kind of equity plus the backdoor draw, plus having the ace as my fold equity right now. He c-bets for half pot, and I come in for the 11 big blind check raise. Oh, drat, we got a call. Oh, double drat, 2 calls, right? So we get to the turn. Now, the 3 hits, and I was planning on barreling on, of course, any diamond because I hit my flush, going for value then. But a 3 or a 4 also gives me the gut shot now. I went from a backdoor straight draw to a gut shot straight draw. So I barrel to 24. Really, though, trying to send the message that I have the ace. You guys have to leave the hand. We get him to fold. That was about a half stack bet right there. And then this player ends up calling. Okay, well, the pots are going to be 89 big blinds. He has 61 behind. It's going to be really hard to get him to fold. I think with 2 calls, he probably has an ace at this point. I'm probably not going to bet the river. Triple barrel the river. Holy cow. But the 4 hits, I have the nut straight at this point. He's only got 61. It's 88. I have to shove right there. Once again, like that prior hand, sometimes shoves look super bluffy. It looks like I might have missed my flush draw. I'm ticked off. I want him to fold. My shove gets him to call, and then lo and behold, ace 8, flopping 2 pair. I'm lucky that he did not re-aggress against me when I check raised and to push me off the hand on that flop. Okay, hand number 4, the worst attention of the year. I'm embarrassed by this hand. Let me show you something. At this point, I'm a 9-9 player over 46 hands. Maybe I'm feeling a bit frustrated because I just haven't been getting dealt decent hands at all. Let me tell you, I should have folded pre-flop. We get a raise, fold, and then a call from a loose aggressive player. Fold, and I elect to call. I think I was probably frustrated not getting good hands. 10-7, suited double gapper. Why not call? Put myself out of position against 2 other players. The kind of spot I would usually fold. But I called. Now, flopping the open-ended plus the backdoor flush draw. Like I said in the last hand, when you have lots of different drawing equity options, it's a really good time to be check raise bluffing your opponents, especially if they can find a fold. He has a ton of ace high, king high, queen high that he open raised that can fold on this board. And this player, he could have a lot of anything. He's just 38-28, very wild kind of player. I think I can get them to fold with a check raise. Small bet, even better fold equity potential because that feels like weakness on this board. And just a call. And I love the check raise. Now, I don't love the overall play of this hand. I should have been out of it. But I love the fact that I made the check raise other than something we'll get to in just a second. And actually, it's part of the lesson. When you fail to notice any kind of special details that are relevant to the hand, you're not playing A-game poker. Stack size matters, so pay attention. If SPR is less than 3, that player is probably committed. And let me show you something. This whole time when I made this play, I did not realize this stack. I still think this is a good bluff to be making right here. So I think I might still make it, even if I had realized his stack. But let me show you the sign that I wasn't paying attention to his stack size. The pot is 41. The 8 comes. They both called on the 9-8-4. That 8 kind of connects with their range. It wouldn't scare them. And I bet 27 to try to get them to fold. I think this is a check. But it did get him to fold. Lovely result right there. But then look at this. I bet 27. He has 31.8 big blinds. I know myself. If I would have seen this ahead of time, I would have just bet full pot to commit him fully, make him play for all of his stack right there. This was a sign I wasn't paying attention. That's why this hand, terrible hand, I lost too many chips right here. He ends up shoving, right? And I have to call just a few more big blinds. I only have to win 5% of the time. But I hate the way I played it. Pre-flop, flop, and turn. No, the flop check raise I'm good with still, actually. But that stack size right here on the turn, absolutely hate it. I hit a pair, but then he had the top pair the whole time. And I lost just way too many chips on a play that I should have exited and just lost one big blind in the big blind. All right, that last hand, that 10-7 suited, took place about 20 minutes before these two hands. And this is my number 3 most tilting situation for the entire year. First, like I said, that 10-7 suited got me angry at myself for making a mistake, not paying attention to my opponent's stack size, right? But then this hand, 20 minutes later, oh, Nelly, open, 3-bet. Okay, I love that, right? When you got pocket aces, you love seeing a 3-bet. I 4-bet, and he 5-bets. Awesome! I raise, shove all in, and he ends up calling. And then, oh, let me show you what his hand. So when he called against my shove, he had the pocket kings. Loving this spot right now, right? And then, oh, Jack 6-5. Oh, darn, he has a heart. Holy Stromboli, he has 4 hearts. No! On that river, right? He beat my pocket pair of aces. What a bummer. Literally 1 minute later, no joke, different table, this hand occurs. And I'm already angry. 10-7 suited, losing aces versus kings. I get dealt pocket aces 1 minute later. Open, call, I squeeze, call, and another call right here. King, Jack 10, oh, what a wet board, right? Especially against 3-bet calling ranges. Players love calling 3-bets with Broadway hands, suited Broadways especially. And then this just smacked calling ranges right here. Once again, I remember this hand. My hand did not leave my mouse. I kept it on the mouse. I saw this. I saw that stack. I saw that board. He checked, and I just auto-bet without thinking. Made it 24 big blinds, trying to charge these players for any ace-king that they may have. King, queen, pair plus open-ender, jack, queen, 10, queen, things like that. Ace, jack, ace, 10 might decide to call me right here. 24 he called, and then he folded. Okay, now the 5 hits, and without thinking, he's got 65 and 81. I said, screw it, I shove. And I didn't even give it a moment's thought. As soon as that turn hit, I shoved because I didn't want him to I didn't want to check, and then he checks behind and then sees a free diamond or spade or ace or queen or 9 to beat me, right? Didn't want any of that. He calls, of course, and he ended up flopping that straight. So 3 hands in a row, 10-7 suited making a huge mistake. Pocket aces right here losing. Pocket aces losing again. Here's the key lesson. When you're dealt aces through queens especially, you want that hand off of the mouse. Because for a player like me, when I lose with the best pre-flop hand, it's really angering and tilting. After losing these 3 hands in this session, I took a break for a few days. I was angry and tilting. And you want to kind of avoid that. You want to make the best decision possible at any time. It doesn't matter if you have pocket aces. Whatever that flop comes, you're always in potential danger right there. So take the hand off the mouse, assess the situation, make reads, and then make your plays. So this takes us to number 2, my most lucky situation for the year. The important lesson to learn here is that you should smile and allow yourself some joy when you're the one who sucks out. Those prior 2 hands, the pocket aces, that really got me down, made me angry, tilted me, and I didn't play poker for a few days. And so I tried to teach myself this past year, when I'm the one who gets lucky, I should be happy. And instead of being like my stoic self and just to continue playing, I should feel the joy. Let that propel me to play more poker. So, raise. I 3-bet with pocket 10s, fold, and then a 4-bet. Now I know players like this, 22-17, very much like me. I'm capable of 4-bet bluffing when the time is right, especially versus a small blind 3-better, because 3-betters love to bluff in the small blind just because that position just makes it look so strong. So I kind of think that there's a good chance he's just bluffing right here. And what do? I'm not going to 5-bet bluff and let him reshove over me. I'm just going to stick it back in his face right here. Now, calling is a justified play. Instead of doing what I did, but I just want to set the tone. I want to stick it back in this guy's face. He ends up calling right here, and then he shows pocket jacks at this point. But the thing is, the flop can help you out even when you're like an 80-20 dog against a player. Set of 10s on the flop. 5, 8, bricked for him, and I ended up scooping that pot. Now my stack is up to 219 big blinds. Now the great thing about this is that the very next hand on the same table, you see I'm in the small blind right now against P2943A. And the very next hand, same stack size, I'm on the button now, P2943A, this happens. A raise, 3-bet. Couple of folds. Now, interesting, he decides to 4-bet once again to the exact same size. Maybe he's trying to trick me into thinking that he has a hand just as strong as that pocket jacks like he did before. But I'm thinking, hey, what are the chances? I got 2 strong hands right in a row. What are the chances that he has it, right? So I make the exact same play. I shove over him, not trying to fully commit him. I'm happy if he folds right here, but maybe he can call with something that I have some decent equity against. He ends up calling, and he ends up showing, oh, crack, pocket kings, right? 2 hands in a row. I got good stuff. He got better stuff. So, of course, once again, that flop can help you out. No, not much help. I guess I got a backdoor flush draw and a backdoor straight draw. Ace overcard still, so I have some equity. Oh, that's pretty nice right there. Another club. Oh, that river came, really helped me out. I loved it, and I really allowed myself to feel happy after these 2 suckouts against the same player in 2 hands in a row. And that takes us to hand number 1, the best misclick of the year. Here's the lesson. Do not slow play. Get value while the getting's good. Let's watch this hand. Limp, ISO raise, queen jack suited. I'm figuring limpers often just limp call. I can see a flop with a very good hand. Call right here. I'm out of position 3-way. Boom, flop in the straight. Loving this right now. I check with the intent to check raise. Check, and then a bet. Pretty hefty bet, right? Once again, I feel that he's committed. So now my job is to raise to try to get the most value out of this player. But I do just min raise, also calling a prior lesson learned, try to make bluffy feeling plays to get your opponents to commit even more chips. He folds, and he ends up calling. Great. Pot is 39 big blinds. 4 hearts comes, doesn't change anything. Puts a flush draw out there, which is possible. So I'm not going to check, let him check behind. I got to bet 28 big blinds into the 39 big blind pot, and he calls. Loving this. The pot's going to be 95 big blinds. I have the current nuts, and he only has 55 big blinds left. The river comes in ace. Now, I have the absolute nuts in this hand, and I was thinking to myself, okay, I don't know if he has an ace right here. He might have had just a king, or maybe even like king jack, 10 jack, queen 10, like some kind of a pair plus draw the whole way. I want to get value out of him. I don't think he's going to call his entire stack without at least an ace right now. So I was going to bet just 20 big blinds. I wanted him to call with any pair. I was going to try to squeak out some extra value out of him. And then I accidentally misclicked and just bet 1 big blind. My cursor was heading over to the plus button to bump it up to 20 big blinds. And then I accidentally just hit the bet button. I don't know how it happened, but it was a misclick. A very fortunate misclick because he assumed, or he got the sense that I was bluffing with that 1 big blind, and he ended up shoving, and I called at this point. All in with the nuts, loving this, and he had pocket jacks. Now, he could have easily just called on that river, probably knowing that he's beat to an ace or a king, but the interesting thing is he probably suspected that I was scared of that ace, so I bet 1 big blind, and he thought he could get a king to fold right now. I'm really thinking that's what went through his mind. So I don't necessarily fault that play, but man, when I barreled 3 streets after check raising on the flop on that board, I really like my hand. I think if I were him, I would have just called right there. All right, thanks for watching the video. I recommend that you go through your own database and take a look at some of your own best and worst hands for 2023 and try to learn from them. Good luck to you, and I'll see you next time.